Okay, great. So we're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. We are going to talk about the AI pricing strategy. Pricing is something that's near and dear to my heart. I think it should be near and dear to your heart as well, as we consistently have these issues come up with clients. They read the Zestimate. The Zestimate is not always right. In fact, many times it's actually wrong. So what do you do? That's what we're trying to address right now, but not before we let the mob in. I'm going to get everyone going just a second. Here we go. And we're welcoming all these great people into the meeting this morning. Oh boy, it is a bitch and disco time. Love to have all of you. Great, Greg, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, loving that. Laura, fantastic. Lori, like the hat there. Karen, fantastic. And I'm just getting all these other folks in here. Oh, there's Karen, who's showing your face today. Isn't that lovely? Good to see you, Karen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so it's good that this topic kind of struck a nerve today because I think a lot of you are having the same headache that I'm having, where you have the client, when you go in, you think you got this, and you say, "Well, here's the price," and they say, "But the Zestimate says," it's like, stop with what he's Zestimate. This estimate didn't know that your home abuts the Florida Turnpike, whereas the other side of the street is significantly different. And we've had stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to throw a complete cow at this estimate this morning, but I will say that oftentimes there are errors that we need to address. Does this resonate with anyone? You could just throw this out there, either nod wildly or make some comments. If you guys could do a couple things, I really do need to interact with you pretty well today. Scott, you're in South America, Scott? You're still in Brazil? Okay, Scott's in Brazil. That's great. Aton's in Portugal. We got California. We got all over the place today. So this is great stuff. Tiny world we have here. Um, well, we're going to be getting into just how we're addressing the clients. I really want to hear from you because I've done this topic a couple of times. I kind of go every 9 to 12 months on this topic because, again, it is fairly important. And it's one topic that gets a lot of pushback, and I'm not afraid of that. I want you to feel free to say what has worked for you. Um, for example, what I'm about to say oftentimes gets some pushback. Here's the first step. I get into the listing appointment. One of the things that I want to try and do is get the seller to tell me what they think their home is worth. Agree, disagree? Throw a cow at me if you hate. Okay. Tina's like nodding, yes, you agree. Greg's nodding, yes, he agrees. Who wants to come on? We're gonna have a brawl in the parking lot after this. Who wants to disagree? You're welcome to screw this up here, just to tell us that it's not working for you. Okay.
You got to find out how screwed up they are.
Well, you do get to do this, and from my perspective, I'm glad you said that, Scott. From my perspective, and from yours, if somebody actually makes the first move, from there you've got nowhere to go but down. I would hope. Think about it. That's my biggest issue with being a realtor. We set our prices when somebody says, "Oh, what's the commission?" You think that, for whatever reason, you have a low self-esteem that day, you might say 4%. Well, guess what? You've got nowhere to go but down because it ain't going up. You got nowhere to go but down. I'm waiting for, there's an agent that I know that consistently gets 6.5 to 7% commissions. What the fuck? How are you doing that? How are you doing that? Yeah, look at Karen's face, that face right there. Okay, how are you doing that? You're doing that because it occurred to them that they could go a little bit higher, that they could ask for more. Where in the book of Job does it say that you have to charge 5%, 6%, or anything like that? It doesn't. So I want you to take that away from this. We set our own limits on what we can make because of some theoretical thing that says an agent charges 6%. And then, of course, the Realtors Association makes, in my opinion, the worst deal ever. And now all this stuff gets negotiated even further downward. I'm just sick of it. I just don't think that we need to tolerate this as an industry. I think we need to learn how to stand up for ourselves. And I think it really does start with the pricing. Let me tell you, there's certainly going to be plenty of people that will knock the pricing down. Very, very few try and put the pricing up. So I say that about the cold open. The cold open to me is what is, what is where do you think your listing should land? let me just go on with a couple other things. I want to show you, and I really make it pretty transparent, my failures along with my successes in this. And I encourage you guys to be very honest as I am here. I'm about to show you something that I regard as kind of a failure. I don't know if Dina is here yet. Dina's a colleague of mine that we did this deal together. And excuse the echoes for a second here. There we go. What I'm going to do is just share this other screen. Sorry, guys, don't adjust your television set. It's just Ed trying to figure out how to use this thing. Okay, so let's take a look. A lot of stuff on the screen. Great, this lovely house. And it was indeed a lovely house. This is a lovely house that I went into the homeowner and said to him, he said, "Well, where do you think this would list?" Knowing very well that it's a very expensive home. I'll be very clear, and it is a very beautiful home. Um, I knew that the market absolutely would not support anything above $8 million. This was a very real thing. In fact, my gut was telling me it's worth less than seven. But there's an old saying in real estate, you can't lose a listing that you never get. So this was my strategy at the time. Again, guys, feel free to throw food at me. It's breakfast time. I said $7,995,000, which sounded pretty reasonable to me at the time. The guy said, no, it's worth more. How much more? I want to list it for $10 million. Again, Karen, you're great. I want you to show your face every day. You got this great emotional kind of like, whoa, okay, well, whatever. Great. So what does Ed do? Talking about myself in the third person? Okay. I took the listing, and for 7 or 8 months, I got multiple phone calls per day talking to the seller about why we haven't had more showings, what's going on. Forget the fact that we listed it in May of 2025. By the way, I'm in South Florida. What happens in May of 2020? What happens after Easter and Passover in South Florida? Anyone want to have a guess? I'll point up. They not heaven, but they all go back up north, right? So now we're going into our slowest period at a property that's worth more than that's listed for more than it's actually worth. So 7 or 8 months go by, some disputes go on, and what happens? As you guessed it, we lost the listing. This listing ended up going with a very, very qualified agent. She's actually a friend of mine. I think she's a lovely person. I don't fault her for it. And as you can see right here, it sold for $7,250,000. Okay? There. I just put my biggest failure in 2025 in front of all of you. Now I want you to be honest with me about some of the things that might have gone on. Now, look, would I have done things differently? I don't know. Did I have the advantage of marketing a property? Sure. You know, for those of you who might not be in the multi-million dollar range, I got to tell you, sometimes it's not fun at all. That listing cost me a lot of money. I'm on my vacation and I'm getting phone calls on my vacation, even though Dina, I wish she was here now. Dina, who's more than qualified, perfectly qualified, was here. That's why I form a team. That's why we share leads. That's why we share commissions, is so that you can live your life. I'm a big fan of not working your ass off until you're carried out by the pallbearers. I want you to like your life. Okay? So I want to put that out there because, again, pricing is near and dear. Lisa, I think you have your hand up, or
Yeah,
are you on a treadmill?
I am. How about that? At 6 in the morning.
I- yeah, you see this?
What was the list price when they got the 7.2?
What was the list price? Good question. They brought it down to $7,995,000, the exact list price that I said that they should price it at.
Okay.
So, and by the way, this is 18 months after we closed. Properties like this, they're not cheap to keep, as many of you probably know. Huge property taxes. It's a gated country club community, paid a lot of money to the community. And then what's the other thing? Who's my finance guy here? Who's a finance person? What am I thinking right now about money, about what could have gone on for 18 months with $8 million or $7 million? Greg, you go on, unmute yourself, shout it out there, Greg.
Net present value.
Exactly. Cost of capital. what $7 million invested, leaving property taxes and closing costs and all this aside, but what is $7 million invested for 18 months at an extremely modest 5%? The market historically was higher than that. Okay. What was that? So I'm gearing all of you up to start to think about the the arguments that you could actually make because you need to paint a story. Super, super important to paint the story so that people actually see it. It's not how much you're going to actually sell it for, it's what you're going to keep, and it's what you're going to actually go through from point A to point B. That's why off-market deals take place, right? Okay, Lisa, you're all
So
excited.
it happens all the time. You're
Okay.
honest.
But first of all, hold on one second. While you're on your treadmill, why don't you tell? It must be raining where you are because it's absolutely beautiful normally. Tell everyone where
It's
you
been
are.
raining, so it's humid and muggy.
Mm,
Um,
where are you?
Lisa Murray, Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Great.
Okay, so it happens all the time. You're honest in the listing appointment with where you feel the pricing should be. And
Hmm.
then you lose the listing out of the gate
Hmm.
because you were honest.
Yeah.
Still sells for what
Yeah.
it's going to be.
Hold on, I lost you. Say that again.
It sells for the price you thought it was going to be, but with another agent because you lost it to their inflated list price.
But the first part that you said, you lost the listing because you were honest.
Correct.
Doesn't that suck?
Yes, it happens all the
All
And
the
it's
time.
so tempting to send an I told you so note card to the seller.
uh-huh.
And yeah, you know what it is, but it's a losing proposition still. You don't end up winning from that. Um,
So I don't know. I mean, what do you do?
and what do you do? I don't, you know who's going to tell us what we do? Scott in Brazil. Please, Scott, unmute yourself and tell us what you would do or what question you had.
Well, hindsight, is always 2020. But in my opinion, in this
Please.
category, the net present value, all that, what a person could have done, and maybe we use it as a case study, but next time around, a person could say, okay, we'll list it at this, but every month that goes by, here's what you're losing. And I want to have an agreement with you that since you're losing the money, do yourself a favor and we're going to reduce the price proportionately as we go.
Great.
And then
Fantastic.
if you really truly need to walk away, or if they want to pay your marketing fee up front, then let them have some skin in the game. I mean, come on, it's a 5 million, whatever, $7 million property. And I guess the question that I'll leave on the table that I had is what was the asking price? Do you know, or you could check, what was the asking price of the listing that new agent that took over the
Yeah,
marketing of the property? What did they
that was
list
my
at?
question.
Yeah, the one that I lost.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's the listing price with me was 10 million, 99999, whatever. The listing price with her was just under 8 million, the price that I said it should list at in the first place.
right. Okay.
And
Just
by the
fine.
way, for leaving the cost of capital out, which Greg wisely pointed out, had that sold, had that happened right when it went on the market, there would have been a strong likelihood that it would have gone for more than 7.25 million. So, anybody take a look at, sorry, Scott, did I interrupt you? Or did you have another?
No, 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 no.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Mark, I'm going to get you in 1 second. What does everyone think about the first 2 weeks of being on the market? Pretty crucial time, maybe, kind of, sort of?
Crit- Critical.
Why, Lisa?
Because that's when all the buyers that are waiting in the weeds are looking. They've seen everything else that's out there. They're waiting for the new one to hit. They come, they look, it's done. Then you're waiting for new buyers after 2 weeks.
Great. So when you go into a buyer and they say, well, why should we concern ourselves with the first couple weeks? Tell them, well, my friend Lisa Murray in Scottsdale, Arizona, who's a top producer out there, said that, and she's right. And she's right. She's 100% right that you really do have a limited time to make a great presentation with all these people. And I
Yes.
think that that is something for everyone to consider. What Scott said, have something baked into the agreement that says, okay, we'll go high if we have to, but let's agree that at some point we lower this. Here's the thing, I'm not a lawyer. and this whole mastermind is not giving legal advice to anyone. What I would say is check with your local realtor association. All of us have the 800 number, the legal hotline. Find out if you're legally able to, in your district, bake that into the contract to have an automatic price reduction. Or is it a handshake? What is it going to be? You need to be very careful with that type of stuff, and I don't want to mislead, but Scott's got the right idea. Mark Lawrence, unmute yourself and bring us some wisdom to the table and tell us where you are, my fellow fat boy.
Good morning. Just got my sweat on.
Yeah.
Mark Lawrence in Long Island, New York. I was, an active realtor for 5 years in the early 2000s, but I've been in the title insurance business for about 20 years now. So I'm going to bring a little, other perspective, but related perspective. And I see my friend Mike Varoukas also on the call. But this overpricing or overquoting or real pricing and not getting it, happens in other industries as well. I'll say in the title business, I'm often asked for a quote, and I know people are shopping or comparing, and we try to fully disclose all the fees on there. But sometimes, apples are not being compared to apples, and oranges are not comparing to oranges. And I mentioned Michael because in the moving business, I'm sure quotes are always, you don't know what you're looking at necessarily, so they can go, and talk to a bunch of different agents. But again, the layperson who is your client doesn't necessarily understand the industry, and it's our job to bring this all together to educate the clients and what they're getting in working with you, and why they're still always going to be attracted by the shiny diamond syndrome of the higher price. Well, they say I'm going to get 9 million, but definitely that applies across, I'd say, many businesses. And I think the education piece is really kind of, and you can educate them all you want and still lose, out to somebody who will take the listing at a higher price or not listen to your pricing suggestion.
So,
And
so
it's
hold on,
400.
Mark.
Yeah.
In your experience, then, what do you do? Because that brings me into the next point. And Greg, I'm going to get you in just a second. What do you do when somebody absolutely refuses? I mean, again, I'm still left scratching my head with this $10 million deal that sold for 7.25. What should I have done?
Probably walked away because you lost money marketing it anyway.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, maybe you position yourself to be this. They always say it's better to be the second or third agent than the first agent. So, maybe by saying no, and walking away, but staying abreast and untouched, of the situation, you position yourself to pick it up, when they do. But listen, a lot of people's strategy is I'll take it and hopefully, right, they'll price reduce with me. So, it's a tough call, but. Uh, I'd say definitely education, communication is key.
Love it.
Hey,
Greg.
Ed,
Lisa, just give me one sec. I said Greg next, then I'll pick Lisa. Go ahead, Greg.
So I'm going to answer your question, and then I have a question.
Okay.
So, one of my, I don't want to use the word script, but I guess it is a script, is to tell them, I'm in the business of selling houses, not testing the market. What you're talking about is testing the market, and I'm here to tell you it's likely not going to work.
Hmm.
I do this day in, day out. My pricing is very well thought out, and it will get your house sold. But my question for you is,
Sure.
what do you do when you ask that client, what's your opinion of the price your house will sell for, and they offer up a price that's less than what you did in your CMA?
I've said to clients before we could do better than that. If I truly believe that we could do better than that, I mean, look, it's certainly great. Hey, wow, it's $100,000 less. I'm going to still get paid. I'm going to, you could just do that. But to me, again, going back to who brought up the honesty thing? Was it Scott?
me.
Was Lisa. Okay. So here's the thing. Your grandmother would have been proud of you. You're not lying. It's great. Lying's a bad thing, but we get screwed all the time by lying, by telling the truth. We get screwed
Mhm.
all the time. I wish that wasn't the case, and I don't have a solution for it. This forum is not going to teach you to lie. I never will. But I'm just telling you right now that people say honesty is the best policy. Unfortunately, that's not my experience when it comes to pricing homes. People who lie get rewarded all the time. What we need to do is build a strategy and structure around this to be able to make that argument like bulletproof, so that they could see. I just had a meeting with somebody who wanted a few $100,000 more because his grout is better in the home. I'm not kidding. Grout for the tile grout between tile. He said that his grout looks much better. I've had somebody else tell me that his lot was better than the one that was so much better than his. Okay, well, two different eyes see two different things. And nobody wants to hear that their baby's ugly. But guess what? Your baby's ugly. Nobody wants to hear it, but that's the case. Lisa, go ahead. You've been patient.
I was just going to piggyback on what Greg said, that we're in the business of selling homes, not testing the market. And, Mr. Seller, I'm happy to test it at your price, but I'm going to put your name on the sign writer.
You're going to do what?
Put their name on the sign.
You're going to put their name on the sign. Okay. So I love that. We could come up with lots of strategies. Let's talk about how do we get through this. So we've all stated the issue. If you take a look at the workbook, it's got, I think we put in about 18 different prompts that you could use with AI to try and help you on several different levels. You've heard me say this before, role play. Okay, role play, role play, role play. If you're able to go in advance and you could give the AI a personality, there's a prompt in there for you to do that. The prompt right now, ChatGPT especially, both OpenAI and Anthropic just released new voice um, modules in their flagship programs. For OpenAI, it's ChatGPT. The voice is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, you could literally have a real dialogue now where you could even interrupt, it'll stop, it'll go back. It feels much, much more natural and it's only getting better. So you could create in a safe environment a place where you could have, if you're worried that the guy in the white coats are going to take you out with a straitjacket, please do it privately. Don't let the whole world necessarily see this. But I will tell you that it's great when you do everything you can to anticipate the questions. How are you going to do this? Well, it's again in the workbook. You're going to actually take the comps that you think best represent the argument, and you're going to put that into the prompt. So you're going to actually get into the AI. You're going to load the prompts in there. You're going to keep the prompts handy, and you're going to have an actual meaningful conversation with the computer about what you're trying to achieve. If you have any insights into the client's personality, they're much older, they can't hear very well, they're much younger, they think they know it all, whatever it might be, you put all that in there and you could then say on a scale of 1 to 10 how tough you want it to be. And I think if you do it right, you'll find yourself pissed off at the AI. Then you know you've done something right because then you'll actually see this. I'm telling you, everything rehearsed. You think these meetings here happen by accident? They don't. I have to rehearse what I'm doing before I get on with all of you guys. I do all the time. And we've mentioned ChatGPT, we mentioned Claude. There's one other that I want to mention to all of you, which I've been using more and more, and that is Notebook. That's a Gemini Notebook. It used to be Notebook LM. Anybody hear of Gemini, which is Google?
Yes.
Notebook. Kirsten, are you using Gemini?
I've just played around with it a little bit, but I'm using Claude and Chat mostly. I go
Okay.
back and forth between the two all day.
Notebook LM here. You know what? Again, just to take a short diversion here, I'm going to quickly show you guys what this whole thing is all about. And I'm going to share my screen in just a second. Okay, here we go. So Notebook LM is exactly this. Here you can see I've got my pricing story. What I did was I put the facilitator guide in here as well as my other notes. And what I was able to generate out of it were several things. One, I was able to make a great infographic. I'll share it with you guys in a second. Let me just see where this thing is. Hold on. Sorry, too much is on my screen. So I created a great infographic about the pricing strategy. I'm a very visual person. I have a feeling a few of you are as well. And this actually gives you a little bit of an infographic. So I was able to create that and I put my little logo on it and everything's great. So we really like that. What else did I do with this thing? Where did it go? Okay. I also created a cinematic movie out of it. So, you'll be able to see right here, it actually made, you can't hear it now because I have the audio off on my screen, but it made a little cinematic movie of what's going on and what we were talking about this morning. Okay. And then one other thing, I created there's a man and woman talking here. Here, I'll share this with you again in a second so you guys could hear it. No, sorry. Share sound. Okay. Okay. Let me just see. Tell me if you hear this. You guys hear
Really
anything?
high stakes negotiation.
Oh boy.
And you
Yes.
get this spreadsheet full of the industry calls naked numbers.
Right, just spreadsheets.
But the person across the table, I mean, they're armed with like 40 years of cherished family memories in that house.
And probably a stubbornly high online estimate.
Exactly. It's just a completely uneven fight.
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome to today's deep dive.
Thanks for having.
Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, were you guys hearing that?
Yeah. So you created a podcast
Yes,
basically
no?
about it. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys. It's just a little technical gaffe here. So it actually creates a podcast with the material.
That's incredible.
Isn't that neat?
That's
And-
so cool.
So you put whatever materials you want into it. By the way, does anyone have Gmail?
Mhm.
Okay, guess what? You have it already. You didn't even know it. So
Wow.
you have this thing already. If you have Gmail, you've got this. So great. Now you could go in and you could start actually listening to the stuff that you've put out there, and you could begin to make the case for why the client needs to listen to you. Is it going to win every time? No. Are you still going to fail? Of course you're going to fail. The idea here is not to make you perfect. And I think striving for perfection is such a foolish attempt. But what you can do is heighten the probability of success.
Ed,
Who's that? Greg, hi.
can I chime in?
Please.
One of the things about Notebook is in doing that podcast, you can stick a document in there that with your own quotations, and the hosts of that podcast will quote you.
Yes.
So it comes across as though you're truly an industry expert being quoted in a podcast.
Yes, and that's
Really cool.
in the case of you wanting to share that podcast, absolutely. I think that's great. For me, I'm using it just for self-educational purposes only. So, but yes, you're right. You could use it as a marketing tool. We'll address this at a future meeting. I know that we've got a bunch coming up pretty soon, and we will jump into some other AI tools. At the end of all these meetings, I always take everyone's questions about the AI tools. Also, I suggest if you haven't picked up yet, my book, it's on Amazon, Prompt to Close. It's also available on Kindle. At some point, I'll be getting into a studio and doing the audiobook since a lot of you are asking about that. It addresses all of those things. It'll be relevant for probably another 8 months, and then I'll need to revise it because this stuff is moving so quickly. But we've got some great stuff going on. Scott, please unmute yourself and tell me what's on your mind.
Yeah, not to beat this, but do you see this? One of the things that I've been struggling with is, I got a lot of information in my brain, and one of the ways to get that out is to do an interview. And I wonder if this concept that you just mentioned, instead of having a person interview me, if I'd do a podcast scenario or the tool like you just mentioned and let that do my interview.
Sure. Well, that's to me.
I was going to say that should work.
Having an ongoing and meaningful debate with the AI, it's really easy. You open it up. You probably can't see my phone because I've got my background on here. But let's see if we could get this guy going here. Good morning, ChatGPT. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning. Yep, loud and clear. What can I help with today?
I'm in my mastermind right now talking with a bunch of great people. There are a bunch of realtors, and we're talking about the AI pricing story, what we could do with you to help role play in let's say a hostile or not so friendly client situation where you're trying to price a home at say $1 million and they want 1.2, would you be able to role play that type of thing with me?
Yeah, sure. Here's a quick role play you can drop right into. Edmund, I hear you, but my neighbor sold for 1.2. I want that number too.
Okay, well, we understand that the neighbor's home was a little bit newer and your home abuts the Florida Turnpike. Based on comps, I'm having a hard time justifying it. Is there anything else about your home that I might not know about that would justify the higher price?
Look, I put in custom finishes and I need to net 1.2. Otherwise, it's not worth moving.
Yeah, okay. I certainly hear you. And I definitely think getting the home sold so that you come out more than whole absolutely has to be part of the goal. Let me talk to you a little bit about the motivation for why you want to sell in the first place. What is your reasoning at this point?
I just don't want to feel like I'm giving it away. If I list too low, buyers will think something's wrong. And like I said, I have a number in my head.
Okay, I'm not going to go back and forth with the dialogue anymore. Was everyone hearing that?
Mhm.
Fairly real? I could have made that AI into a
Yeah.
raging maniac, by the way. If you have people, I mean, she was being very nice. I can make it into a guy. I can make it into somebody with an Indian accent. I can make it, I mean, you can make it into anything that you actually think that you're going up against. That's the kind of tools that we have right now, and we're not using it.
So
If
you just hit the microphone
you what
on chat?
yeah, let me I'm gonna see here. I'm gonna turn off my oops, what do I do here? There. Okay. So now you see where I'm sitting. So you got the chat right here. There's a little
Yep,
button right over here,
yep,
and it brings up the blue thing right there.
got it.
And that's what you
Yeah,
have.
sounds right.
And that's what you have on ChatGPT. By the way, it's also I'll leave the background. It's also the same for Claude. Their voice has become absolutely remarkable. In future meetings, we're also going to talk about how you're actually controlling things on your desktop with this type of stuff. That you're going to be able to have and manipulate various documents. For example, some of you are any of you a part of my group ChatGPT and Real Estate Mastermind on Facebook?
Mhm. I
A
didn't
couple.
know.
Okay, so on Facebook, I've got a group. It's got almost 17,000 participants. It's called ChatGPT and Real Estate Mastermind. I'm getting about 25 to 30 people a day signing up on it. I tell all of you to start your own Facebook group. My other group I have is new to Boca Raton, Delray Beach, and the surrounding areas, and I'm getting about 10 people a day signing up on that one. Every third thing you see on Facebook is an advertisement. So if you could captivate eyeballs, if you could get people going somewhere, if your content is good enough, you get rewarded by having your group pushed to a lot of people. And if the topic speaks to them, they're going to want to join. That makes sense, right? I learned about this. There was an elderly woman in my community who said to me that she started her own Facebook group. And it was very sweet. She was very nice. She was a widow. And I was chatting with her. And I said, "How many members do you have in the group?" She said, "Oh, 100,000." I said, "Oh, do you mean 100?" She goes, "No, I mean 100,000." I'm like, "Well, do you mean 1,000?" She goes, "I might be old, but I know what numbers are." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't mean to." And you know what? She had well over 100,000. And what got so many people to join? It was about bereavement. She lost her husband. And she created her own little group of people that wanted to chat about exactly that, something that, thank God, I'm not experienced with. I don't know. I can't, I don't understand that. But it gave me the idea, what can we do to turn this around to actually make it interesting? And I created two groups. One of them was ChatGPT and Real Estate Mastermind. Why? Guess what? I'm selling a mastermind here. I want you to sign up and pay for it. I want to be able to make money doing my mastermind. It's not a symptom of a disease. I hope all of you make money. And two, I sell real estate. And in both instances, I was able to use ChatGPT to be able to grow that out. We will be addressing that as well. And if any of you would like to have a special um, mastermind on that, we certainly can if you're at all interested. You could just definitely chime in. And Scott, it's ChatGPT and Real Estate Mastermind. You sign up for it, you're going to be asked, can we add you to our mailing list and can you give us your email address? Boom. When you join the group new to Boca Raton, Delray Beach, and the surrounding areas, you're asked, do you rent, do you own, or are you planning to buy? And also, would you like to be added to our mailing list? Every 20 people that sign up, somebody says, I'm renting and I'm planning to buy, and here's my email address. I'd like to be on your mailing list. Well, guess what? Now I know that I've got a buyer that wants to buy at some point, and I've got their email address. Guys, we're in sales. Figure it out. You got some stuff right there. Now we could also talk about automations that go into this. Is it the best buyers that I have? No, I do a deal maybe 18 months with those people, but it's a system on automatic. If I worked it more, I'd do better. But I'm doing basically every year to 18 months, one deal from that attempt. Not bad considering that it's just set it and forget it, right? Pretty good. So I just I throw that out to all of you. Okay, 9:35. Trying to get what other questions do we have? I know we're a bit all over the place as these meetings often get, but you guys get me very jazzed, and I certainly love hearing everyone's experience. What were some of the?
This is Lori O'Neill.
Hey, Lori, where are you, Lori?
I'm in New Jersey.
Cool.
So I have an AI question. I don't know. I forget how I found you, but I love this group.
Thank you. I love having you.
So how do I connect like a chat GPT or one of these AIs to my Facebook and Instagram accounts and my CRMs? Because there's a lot of data to be extracted from that for real estate.
Sure. Okay. I mean, it's the question is, how do you actually get connectivity between Facebook and your CRM and your AI? The answer is there's lots of different ways to do it. If we could catch up just after the meeting, I could, find out a little bit more about what you're doing.
Okay.
But I'll
Because
give
I'd
you,
love to share it with people of how I find leads and connect all this. I would love to share it with the group what I'm doing.
sure. Well, give us 60 to 90 seconds. Can you give us
Sure. So
yeah,
I go into RPR because we all as real estate agents have access to it. And I
great,
search for clients that have been in their house more than 10 years. I pull
good,
down that address. I
good.
run it through Best Skip Tracer, and now I'm putting it into databases and farming it.
Fantastic. You see that? Fantastic stuff. One of the things that you could do, um, Gloria, are you using Claude?
So I've been using Global GPT because
Okay,
of the whole selection of Claude and GPT and all the other AI tools that are in it, Grok and everything else. And it's $12 a month.
great.
But it didn't seem as if I could connect that Global GPT to a Facebook or an Instagram. So I think I may have to narrow it down to one and attach it. But we can talk about it later. But
Okay.
yes.
Sometimes you don't need to connect it at all. What I'm saying to all of you, if you have Claude, and again, I haven't used Global GPT, but we'll definitely talk about that right after the meeting, Lori. Actually, I'm going to write down call Lori. Actually, Lori, call me. I don't think I have your number. You could DM your number to me now if you have it, if you can.
Yeah, I will. I'll finish the call, but yeah.
Okay. So what? One of the things that you're able to do with Claude is now Claude's got something called schedule. You're able to actually set up a schedule, and in that schedule, you could set up skills. Okay, don't lose. I'm not going to lose you here. Just stick with me. I know I'm giving you a lot, but once you get through these steps, it could change your career. So just understand that this is important. So what are you going to do? You're going to set up a skill and set up a schedule that's going to automatically every day at 8 a.m. or whatever time you want, go into your email and scrub looking for particular buyers, particular people, or it's going to go right into your database. In the case of Lori, it's going to go into her CRM. And it's going to take a look at who is an open issue that you need to actually communicate with. What I have it do from there is if I haven't spoken to, let's say, Greg in a while, or if, whatever I set this up for, it's going to go out, do some research on Greg, get context on him, get context of the last conversation that I had with him, and push an email just to my drafts folder. Now, I could have it email it automatically. Personally, I don't want to. I still, one of the things I say in these meetings every week is AI will take you 80 to 90% there, but you better damn well show up for the last 10 to 20%. And if you do, you'll find that you're able to completely 10x the amount of work that you're doing. Now it's gone in. I'm able to go in every morning. I see all these emails that are prepared to be sent out. Some I delete because I might have had a conversation the night before. Some I manipulate, some I just send. Like, for example, this morning, 10 minutes before this meeting, I sent out 8 emails that I normally would not have gotten to, and I'm already getting 2 responses from some of the people because it's been set up as an automation. So, Lori, we will talk about that and we will get into more and more automations. I need to hear from all of you about the kind of topics that you want. Some of you have said that I've gone too far into the AI world, that you want to talk about more traditional real estate brokerage stuff, and that's fantastic. I mean, we're running this meeting now 6 times a month. It seems like we'll never run out of topics because there's just so much that all of you want, and I definitely want to deliver it without alienating anybody. So definitely give me the feedback that that matters most to you, and we can do that. Also, you'll see more and more people in this meeting who are not necessarily in real estate, because to me, a sale is a sale. A lot of you want to meet people like Michael Barukas, who's here right now. He owns a corporate relocation business, and he's a heck of a guy, and Greek, which is great. It's a great guy to get together with if you're ever in Fort Lauderdale. And we have Mark Lawrence, who is entitled. So we're having more and more people, and I'm finding that diversity and that difference in careers is a pretty interesting perspective, because some of them come out and say, "Well, I would never respond well to that pitch," and from there, you might be getting a non-realtor opinion, which I think is really, really important. We got a couple more minutes on this topic here, and then we're going to get to wants, needs, and brags. Who else? Hassan, you've been quiet this meeting. Ken, I'd love to hear from you. Delaney, please. Peggy, who wants to chime in on this topic a bit? Maybe? Avez-vous compris?
Wanted to chime in.
Karen, please tell everyone who you are and where you are, please.
Hi, I'm Karen Knox, real estate broker associate with a location. I'm in South Florida as well.
Cool.
Mostly Fort Lauderdale. I do a little Boca and a lot of Miami.
Okay, very good.
Now, I was very happy about the topic today because I have a problem accepting listings, through relationships. I recently had one for 15 million that really should have been maybe 12 or 13 million.
Yeah.
They took it off the market. They're going to put it back on the market. I do want to know what to tell people. I really appreciate what Scott said. I think any sort of control mechanism on reducing the price, if I do list it at a higher price, is important. So I appreciate the subject.
Sure. Again, to me, empirical evidence is great, but people are going to see what they want to see. Every time in the case of that deal where I never would have gotten them down, they needed to get smacked in the nose. They needed to see that they were not going to succeed. It was never going to be something. And whoever said before that perhaps I should have been I think it was Greg who said I should have been the second agent in, or one of you said that. Absolutely right. That would have been the better case. Again, we're not going to convince everybody all the time. And Karen, boy, 15 million, those don't come every day. I think that's great stuff. I really would. I'll do cartwheels if you win. I really will. Maybe I won't. I'll do metaphorical cartwheels. I can't
Run naked down the street.
No, that I won't do. Okay, that is just a lawsuit waiting to happen. Okay, that's just not good. Nobody wants to see me running around that way. Anyway.
In contrast to that, there's, a $1.3 million listing that should have went at like something like 1.1. So the question is, how do you get these people to really listen to you? So how do you become the second agent or something?
Well,
what is the solution?
I, again, I think that building.
Met a
Hold on
guy
one second.
there.
Okay, I'm just muting that guy out there. Just building the argument with empirical evidence first and foremost, getting all the comps in order to be able to show that,
Absolutely.
giving a demonstration of the time on the market, getting to the heart of why they want to sell in the first place. Sometimes they need to sell. I brought somebody, he said, I'll sell for, this was literally last week. Um, I'll sell for 5 million. Here's your 5 million. Okay, now I can't. Well, why not? I've got a lot that I'm going through in my life. Okay, so then when you said 5 million, I didn't want to tell him he was full of shit, but he was full of shit. Okay, I mean, he was just lying to me at that point. We know that he was. So, sometimes that stuff does come up. This guy's made it very clear they want 15 million for their home. You think that it's worth 12 million. Your job at this point is to get as much evidence as you can talking about how long it's going to get this sold. If they want more, you're going to need a much longer time on the market. Isn't that true? Especially if it's the summer where you're getting the listing. So don't make the mistake that I
Absolutely.
made. Insist upon getting a year-long contract at that point. Why? Because, and you could just say it, I'd never lose a listing that I never got. I want your listing. I want to be able to do it, but I'm going to need time to market this property. So
I would also encourage anyone that's bringing buyers in to just submit offers so that if offers start coming in, they see that they're 12 at 13, then
yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
have some evidence.
But they don't.
Well, sometimes,
Yeah, they don't.
do. I've got another listing now that's listed at 2.6, and we got a listing at 2.2, and the seller is saying, well, they'll take 2.25. I'm like, it's $50,000, which don't get me wrong, is a lot of money, but not when you're at that level. I mean, not when you're at this point, not
Right.
when you're spending $3,000 a month on staging and $3,000 a month on condo fees and whatever else you're going to. I mean, for goodness sakes, at some point, let's declare a victory. I hear you, Karen. I don't know what more. Okay, Lisa.
Well, so here's an old ninja script that's
Okay.
pretty non-confrontational to
Mhm.
just ask them, how long do you think you'd like to leave it at that price before you feel like you haven't left money on the table? Listed at your price, how long do you want to leave it at that price to be comfortable that you haven't left money on the table?
Okay. So to make Karen's argument to you, Lisa, what would you say when they say, "Well, it's your job to sell the actual property. How come you can't get my price?"
Because it's the market.
It's the market.
It's
Okay,
always.
but Joe Schmidlap said that it would sell for 15 million. And Joe is a reputable agent who's a competitor of yours down the street.
Well, then I don't know. Then why are you talking to me? Let Joe Schmidt-Lab sell it.
Ooh, okay.
Have you looked at Joe Schmidt-Lab's list price to close price?
Okay, say that
Here's
again.
what I would just
Have
bring
you
up.
looked at Joe Schmidt-Lab's list price to close price? This is his averages. Know your competition too.
That's it.
You can
I like
you can
that.
Yeah.
you can talk about that all day.
There's a competitor of mine who consistently lists way above market, gets a long thing, and then it sells months later. That you can actually track their discounts.
You
You can
can
actually
totally present that information too.
carefully, again, check with
Carefully.
the Realtors Association. You don't want to throw a cow at someone and get in violation of Article 15 of the Realtors Code of Ethics, right?
Right.
You don't want to have like an issue here. I'm bringing up a realtor on a grievance right now, um, basically because he's an asshole, but mostly because he actually bullied somebody that was on my team, and he's 29, a man and about my size, and she's 50 and about my wife's size. And that's a guy that really deserves. It was Michael Varoukas, he would put him through the wall. Okay, that's the difference. Michael was a big enforcer, tough guy here. So, Lisa, sorry, you were saying?
Oh, I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, same here. Okay. Karen,
Thanks,
I don't know if this
Shannon.
is
Good.
helpful. I hope it's helpful.
It's
And
helpful. Everything's helpful.
if you want, call me after, and we could definitely chat about it and see how far we could go. We there is no magic bullet from all of this, but there are little bricks that you can use to build a wall to try and make the case. And I like what Kirsten was saying before. If you find out what the competition is, if you know that they're going for somebody and you can find some real evidence that they consistently sell for 15% less than what they listed for, just say, why then is this their average? What's going on? Now, if it comes back to you because they find out that you have done the same, well, that's something else. You need to
Right.
try and be careful with these arguments. But
I also like to use the 2 week, you present all your evidence for pricing, and then you say, all right, the market will speak to us within the first week or two at max. I'm only willing to list at this price if you're willing to adjust in 2 weeks.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
It's going back
And then-
to like what Scott said.
I've walked away from so many of these opportunities, which, I'm rethinking it, my past decisions for doing that. But I did have one woman recently who came to an open house on another property in her neighborhood. And I told her exactly what her house was going to sell for. And she didn't like the number at all. And it sold for that price, but she went through 5 different realtors, and then she came and apologized to me. So when she's going to think about listing, if she buys and sells multiple properties, she's going to think about me. And she spent a half hour apologizing and walking through my open house with me. I thought that was a good experience or turnaround.
It's as rare as a unicorn.
Can I get an apology?
I've never, very rarely has anyone apologized. We have a dog on the show. That's great.
Oh, we're going to have 2 in a minute.
We're gonna have
10
2
for them
dogs
to
on the
walk.
show. Yeah, I've got Coco's sitting right here. I got my doodle. So, okay, 9:51. Great. Wants, needs, and brags. Now's the time in the meeting to get to what we want, what we need, and what we'd like to brag about. I got my fireworks. I just figured out how to do that. Okay.
Love it.
So that's my little brag today. Tell you what to brag about. It could be absolutely anything. Something you've done with your career. I had 2 wonderful weeks. My holiday, my summertime is my real holiday time. I was in Europe harvesting honey, which was great. And I just got back. My sister lives in Europe and she raises bees. And so we were harvesting honey, which was really a bitch and disco time. Really cool stuff. Got honey now. And after that, I went directly to Los Angeles just because I'm crazy to see my daughter. So it really was 2 very different kind of holidays. I'll probably never do that again because I'm absolutely exhausted, but that was what I've got to brag about. And in the process, my team handled 2 closings like champs. We landed 2 other listings. This is exactly what they say you want your career to be like.
Right.
And I'm not,
It's great.
It's great. It's fabulous. It's also a unicorn. I have a lot of work to do. Who's next? Wants, needs, and brags.
I've got one.
Okay, Lisa, please.
This is just silly, but I think you'll kind of appreciate it.
It's silly. I come from a long line of men that like silliness.
Well, you couldn't tell this story to just anybody, but real estate agents probably will understand. I accidentally paid off my mortgage a couple weeks ago. That was the best surprise of my life.
Bravo.
No
wrote
kidding.
Too big a check?
No, we have so many outgoing expenses, right? That you just, it's like month to month money. And I had 2 lean years a couple years ago where I'm pulling out a savings and putting it in my checking and blah, blah, blah. I had no idea I was making double mortgage payments.
For how many years?
About 3. Somewhere along the line it changed, and I set it up in my Wells Fargo to auto pay, and the lender was also auto pulling it out. So
that's
it's easy to do when you don't know you're doing it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Listen, you're all paid off. It's Miller time. Let's go party. Woo! I gotta say, I gotta be honest with you. I don't recall the last time I heard anyone say they paid off a mortgage.
Accidentally.
Accidentally never. But I don't know if I ever remember anyone saying that they've actually paid a mortgage off. I just don't think that that's really, usually it's like I sold the home and then it got paid. I've never really heard of anyone getting to the end. How long have you been in the home?
23 years. I refinanced 10 years ago. I pulled money out, put a pool, and did some, landscaping in the back. And I didn't want another 30, so I did a 15 and paid it in 10.
Mazel tov. Love it. That's a fun story. Scott's going to
Yeah,
quote you. I just saw that. Who
that's a
else?
brag.
Wants, needs, or brags? That
It's
is
a brag.
a worthy brag.
I have a good one.
Who's okay? Please, Kirsten. Tell everyone where you
Um,
are, Kirsten. I don't know if you did before.
I'm Kirsten Smith. I'm born and raised in Boca Raton, Florida, and live in Delray Beach and do most of my business here. But I do have a very special listing in Miami right now, who I brought in our one of our top agents down there who sells 50 million plus listings because it's a $125 million listing. And our company got us some excellent New York Post exposure recently. So I wanted to brag about that a little bit. It's a private listing.
You've got a $125 million listing.
Yes.
What
I'm
is
not
it?
worthy. I'm
It's
not worthy.
next. And it's next to the Scarface house that's listed for 237 million, and we're a steal at 125.
Wow. Guys, we are
It's
among
big.
a big shot here. This is like, boy, Kirsten,
So-
I would, if this was baseball, I'd be your bat boy. Okay. This is just really, wow.
It's been incredible. It's been, and especially with the support for Douglas Elliman, the New York Post story gave us very good exposure, and then they did a nice event for us in the Hamptons last week. So, it's my little brag, because I'm normally in the $2 to $5 million pocket.
If I bring you the buyer, what's the buyer broker commission?
2 million.
Oh, so it's a flat 2 million.
Well, it's roughly 2 million.
Is it 2% or 1.5%?
Yeah, 2%. 2%.
2%. Okay. So 2%, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now all I do have to do is find someone with 125 million sitting around.
Yes, it's a very specialized list that we've been going out to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck with that. That's wow. That's a big
Thank
deal.
you.
Definitely, I like you.
Congrats.
I like you even more now.
Thank you. It's been a wild ride, I'll tell you that.
I want to just tell everyone this, we've got people in here. I've done 15, $20 million deals. I also closed a $500,000 deal a little while ago. No shame in this. Some of you are in environments, in regions that don't command a $125 million listing. Okay. So let's just be very clear. Just because one person has a huge listing doesn't invalidate in any way the size of your deal or what you're actually working on. In fact, I would argue that in many cases, that $500,000 deal was significantly worse as far as a headache goes than some of these others. Not the $10 million deal that I had that I lost because that guy was just not so much fun. Greg, go ahead. You can unmute yourself and talk to us, Goose.
So I have a new brag that I just got, and that
Okay.
is that I was on a Zoom call today with an agent who has done a $125 million listing. That just is
Okay,
way out of my.
No, that's it. So Kirsten, you see, you got a fan club right now.
I love it.
And
Oh,
hopefully
by the
not-
way, I'm closing on a $740,000 deal tomorrow. So it's a big deal, but I still do a wide range of real estate.
Yeah, and I'm walking in right this second into a $335,000.
Nothing wrong with any of this stuff.
Nothing at all.
It's all great stuff. Bread and butter work. We love it. Scott, go ahead. I want to pick on Delaney as well and talk about her book if she's still with us here. But go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, Kirsten, you mentioned it's a private listing, but any way we can get a link, or you want to somehow push out information, or?
I have an NDA locked website that I can send out if you send me your information. If you have potential buyers, absolutely, I can send you.
How do I connect with you?
Can you post it in the chat?
Yeah, can you do you have it is it postable in the chat, or is it too private? Like what do you got there, Kirsten?
I think I can. Yeah, I think I can post it in the chat.
Post it in the chat. Post it in the chat. Why not?
I have a need.
Okay. Okay. Well, but before we get to you, Karen, Scott, was that it? You're still muted. Yeah. Thumbs up. Good. Karen, please.
I have a need. If anyone has any multifamily on Miami Beach that's off market or on market at a good price, I'd say up to 10 million, maybe 10 or so, 10 or less million, multifamily, preferably over 10 units.
Okay.
Anyone? Miami Beach.
Miami Beach multifamily units there. Please, 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 let's reach out to Karen. Good stuff. Like it. Nobody jumping on it just yet, but good to keep in mind. Who else? Okay, Delaney, can you unmute? Okay,
I'm here.
so Delaney is a great participant and a good friend. Delaney, could you just tell everyone about letting go of the house?
Yeah, I wrote a book about my personal experience of selling my childhood home and then the process of helping move my parent out of the home and just kind of what that looks like and trying to relate with other people who have to sell their parents' house and what that process looks like and not just the physical tasks of doing it, but helping them through the emotional part as well.
It's great. I bought my copy on Amazon. I think
Great.
all of you, there's two things I want you to think about. One, if you consider buying it, you should because it's a good read and it gives you great ideas. Two, I think you should write a book. It's easy to do today. Not easy. It's certainly not the easiest thing to do, but it's certainly available to all of you. Leaning in on AI to be able to do it. I leaned in big time on Prompt to Close, my book. It is an excellent business card for you to walk in when you actually say to somebody, I wrote the book on it. Delaney's getting meetings, she's getting opportunities. I'm getting meetings and opportunities. Nicole's not here right now, but we send it in part of our regular marketing. We send out 2 or 3 CMAs a week. Okay, I try and get you to do a CMA a day. Along with that, we send it on the 3-day FedEx, okay, which is like $14 or $15, so it's not terribly expensive. They get the CMA, they get a letter, they get a copy of my book along with it, and it's going to a very tight farm area. Do it. Don't think about it. Just get it done. And we could talk about helping you come up with something. In her case, it is being able to let go of the family home. It's an emotional journey. I think, Delaney, you were 26. Your dad had a stroke. Was that
Yeah, he had his second stroke when I was 26, and so we moved him out of the house he was living in by himself.
and while there's a lot of very mature 26-year-olds that do it, that's not the norm today, guys. We know that. That's a very big responsibility for a young woman to take on her own, to have power of attorney and to deal with all that. And Delaney handled it like a champion, and now she's helping other people on a professional level do it. Delaney, I'm so proud of you, and I think you've done so much in your career with all of that. That is not a little feat. It's a big one, and it needs to be recognized. Delaney,
Oh,
just
thank
tell
you.
everyone where you are as well so people know.
Yep, I'm in Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay. So I think it's really great stuff that Delaney's come up with. I just want to impress upon all of you to consider writing a book. There's a story in you that I can't compete with. Think about that woman in my community with 100,000 followers. She can't even turn on her printer. Okay, really, she's not like technical at all, but she created something that struck a nerve. You've got a story in you that your competitors can't compete with. There's something about you that you could win. Let's lean in on that and make that win. Okay. Okay. Anyone else before we sign off for today? We will have. Let me see what's going on next week. I know we're going to be doing some very technical additional meetings with you guys. For those of you who are into the AI stuff, we'll be doing more and more of this. Um, And certainly, if anybody wants to talk about ongoing coaching, I'd love to be able to do that with you as well. But let's see, today was the pricing story. Next week is the 7-touch pre-listing sequence. That's going to be on August 5th. On August 7th, we're doing that on a Friday, just 2 days later. Notion for realtors. Notion is an AI. It's great stuff. I think that you should know about that. August 19th, build a coming soon machine. It's going to be generating entire pipeline, based on just the coming soon listings. And then we have here another one on the 21st, which is a few days later. Gemini Notebook. Aton already put this together for us. We're going to be doing. Kirsten, you said you liked what the podcast that I just put on with this. We're going to have a special meeting on that on August 21st. I'm all ears. If you have ideas or if you got topics that you want me to cover, let me know. We'll school ourselves in this stuff. We'll put stuff together for you that works. If you got criticism, put it together too. If it's constructive and you think that I messed it up, I'd love to hear from you. I want to be able to make myself better and make this better. Um, okay. It's after 10 o'clock. The meeting's over. If anyone wants to stick around for a few minutes and ask some AI questions, I'm here. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing all of you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kirsten. Anyone? Anyone? Hey, Alicia, you signing off or just saying
Oh, I was saying, have a great week.
have a good week? Yeah, absolutely. Anyone? Scott?
Hey, I thought as long as we had a minute and it's convenient.
Sure.
What, 2 weeks ago where we lost the recording? Is there a slide deck or anything on that or?
Which was the topic?
Wow. I think it was well, it was the one where the video didn't get recorded and so it can't be archived
It
or
was
they lost it.
two
It was
weeks
about
ago.
the tech stack.
Oh, is that the solo agent sub 200 a month AI stack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just curious about that. What, if there's any collateral for that.
So Otter, which is recording this, Otter, remind me to make a memo to Aton to get Scott whatever we can on the solo agent sub $200 a month AI stack. We had a technical failure and we're not able to load the videos. So I want to be able to get him as much information on that as possible. Thank you very much. Now that was recorded, and I'm going to be able to do that. So thank you, Scott. And again, I apologize. I mean, these things
Yeah, it happens.
do happen, and it always happens at the topic that everybody wants, unfortunately. So that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
my pleasure. Anyone else? Okay, guys, good to see everyone. Hope to see you coming up real soon. Take care.